Tonight on Reporting Scotland, brutal. That's how an eyewitness describes last night's dog attack in Hamilton. One man is in hospital with serious injuries. Police shot and killed the large bulldog-type dog.
I think the first guy the dog had bitten him. I think the owner was trying to get the dog off him. And eventually they've got the dog off him, but the dog's turned on his own owner and grabbed hold of him and just not let go.
Also on tonight's programme, 18 years after being found guilty of embezzlement, a sub-postmaster from Clickmannanshire has his conviction quashed.
It's been thrown out and that's me, I'm free.
Well done, Rob.
Thanks, Sassy.
Rab Thompson is now the 5th person in Scotland to have his conviction overturned. The Horizon scandal has been described as the biggest miscarriage of justice in modern times. We hear from Janie Godley about the new film of her life, which premieres at the Glasgow Film Festival.
And coming up in the sport, we look ahead to another big night of Premiership action. And Finn Russell says Scotland are desperate to win a trophy as the Six Nations edges closer.
Hello, I'm Laura Miller. Welcome to Wednesday's programme. Investigations are continuing tonight after a dog attack in Hamilton, which has left a man in hospital with serious injuries. Armed police were called to the incident yesterday evening, involving what was described as a large bulldog-type dog. They shot and killed the animal. Inquiries are ongoing to establish its breed. One eyewitness has told BBC Scotland News the scene was brutal. Suzanne Allen reports.
Forensic officers were still at the scene this afternoon, nearly 24 hours after this horror attack. Local residents described a commotion just before 5 p.m. One eyewitness said the attack lasted 40 minutes and that the dog, a large bulldog type, had sunk its teeth into a man's arm, while another man tried to help. Police described the dog as dangerously out of control.
It was pretty brutal. The dog was barking and growling, and the two guys were screaming basically. I think the first guy the dog had bitten him. I think the owner was trying to get the dog off him, and eventually they've got the dog off him, but the dog's turned on his own owner and grabbed hold of him and just not let go.
Well, one eyewitness who wouldn't go on camera saw the whole attack. They told me that people were trying to help, they were trying to intervene, and someone came out with a bucket of water and threw it into the dog's face, which stopped it. But it then went on to attack someone else.
This CCTV shows one man straight after the attack, clearly in a lot of pain, going to a local shop for help. Armed police arrived shortly after and shot the dog. The shop owner said he knew the dog and used to give it treats.
And he coming in a shop as well, and he just stand up on the counter and looking for his treat. And he look innocent, but I think so he's abandoned dog. And he's got scarf all over the face, on her head, everywhere.
There's a lot of talk in this community that it could have been an XL bully, a dog banned in England and Wales without a licence. However, police have not yet confirmed the breed of the dog. The Scottish Government announced plans in January for a similar ban.
Scotland does have, at the moment, powers within local authorities with dog control notices. So you could go to your local authorities and they can put some provisions in place, such as dogs being on leads or on muzzles. So that in Scotland is already happening. It isn't in England and Wales.
Police are saying tonight that there is no further danger to the public. Suzanne Allen reporting Scotland, Hamilton.
Well, I'm joined now by our political correspondent, David Wallace-Lockhart. David, clearly an awful situation there in Hamilton, but dangerous dogs are a real political issue at the moment, aren't they?
That's right. And the first thing to stress about this particular attack is we don't know what type of dog was involved. We heard there from the Community Safety Minister, Siobhan Brown. She said it was horrific and that the responsibility in controlling a dog lies with the owner. Now, there is legislation coming in Scotland, as Suzanne mentioned there, when it comes specifically to XL bully dogs. Siobhan Brown said there's an announcement on timing about that coming in the coming days. Scottish Government wants to replicate laws that are already in place in England and Wales, and essentially they ban the breeding, the selling and the abandonment of XL bullies. There have been concerns about some of these dogs being rehomed in Scotland, essentially since the ban in England and Wales being brought up to Scotland, though the minister there was stressing it's the deed, not the breed. The responsibility lies with the owner, but Siobhan Brown did say she was willing to look at existing legislation around dogs and potentially strengthening some of that. OK, David, thank you. Now, you might remember we've been following the story of Rab Thompson, a former sub-postmaster from Cookmanager who was wrongly accused during the Post Office IT scandal. Well, today he received the news he's been waiting almost 20 years for. His conviction has been overturned. Katie Hunter has been with him on an emotional day.
It's been thrown out and that's me, I'm free.
Well done, Rab.
Thanks, Sissy.
Rab Thompson's waited almost 20 years to make this call.
You deserve this. Well done, Rab. Well
His
done.
sister, one of the first to find out.
Thanks, Sissy. And I'll meet up soon with you, Linda.
Yeah.
OK?
Rab is the 5th person in Scotland to have their name cleared following the Post Office IT scandal.
The bad pages have obviously been ripped out now, hopefully, and we go on and start a good, clean page and build up from there. Hopefully the family can go about smiling and we'll have a better life. But as I've said all along, it's not about the money, it's just get my name cleared, and I've got that today, and I'm really, really happy with that. I can't thank them enough, everybody that's helped me. It's good to get out with the dog and let people know that I've got my conviction quashed now.
But among the relief and joy, there's anger.
I would like the current Post Office boss to come out and apologise and ask him what did he do for the last 20 years compared to what I done for the last 20 years. Went through misery, no support whatsoever from any Post Office people. And also I would like Venables to come out and apologise when she goes to the inquiry.
Rab was convicted in 2006. He'd taken over Cambus Post Office from his mum. Today's news has come years too late for her.
My mum was an angel to me and my boys, and she's not here today. I wish she was here today to see what's happened to me. Hopefully she's looking down on me and smiling, and we'll all go and see her up her graveyard and thank her for everything that she's done for us, and I appreciate it. Thanks, Mum.
Well, Katie's with me. God, Katie, what an awfully emotional day for Rab and his family, and hopefully he can get on with the rest of his life now. But we've also been hearing more today at the public inquiry into the scandal from one of the Post Office investigators.
Yeah, that's right, Laura. The inquiry hearing from another former Post Office investigator today, Raymond Grant, said he still believes a sub-postmaster from North Uist, whose conviction was overturned after his death, stole money from his post office. Now, Mr Grant told the Horizon IT inquiry that he considered William Quorm to be guilty, and that's despite the fact his name was cleared in court last year. Really important to emphasise that. Mr Quorm pleaded guilty to embezzling money to try and avoid going to prison, but his conviction was overturned last year. He died in 2012 before his name was cleared, and reacting to today's evidence, his widow Anne told the BBC that she was astonished that Mr Grant would say these things. Now, he didn't end his evidence by saying he was humbly sorry for his part in the scandal and that he and others had been deceived by the Post Office. OK, Katie, thank you.
Early warnings about coronavirus were not listened to as senior Scottish Government officials froze the UK COVID inquiry has heard. Infectious diseases expert Professor Mark Woolhouse, who was a member of the Scottish Government COVID-19 advisory group, also claimed hundreds of people may have died after being told not to bother the NHS. Our health correspondent Lisa Summers watched today's evidence.
As coronavirus took hold in the Chinese city of Wuhan in January 2020, Professor Mark Woolhouse started to voice his concerns about the threat of the new virus to officials in Edinburgh.
And with the Scotland rugby team.
He tried to raise the alarm with Scotland's top doctor, Catherine Calderwood, but says he had to turn to a former UK Chief Medical Officer, Dame Sally Davies, for help.
So we've discussed my frustration with what I continue to perceive as the lack of action. I wrote to Sally. I'm saying, Sally, can you get Catherine to listen to me? Because she's not listening.
To help save lives, stay at home.
It was more than a month before he met Dr Calderwood, and a further month before Scotland locked down with cases spreading fast.
In the end, when we went into lockdown, I don't think they had the faintest idea how long we would be in it for.
We must continue to be careful.
Professor Woolhouse has questioned the reasons for the Scottish Government's more cautious approach after that first wave.
The emphasis was on a very, very cautious relaxation from lockdown, and it seemed to be important to the politicians that it was more cautious than the one in England, so they were emphasising that. They didn't articulate, in any way that I understood, what they thought the public health benefit of this caution actually would be.
He said a zero-COVID strategy was never deliverable, saying too much focus was on restrictions to reduce the direct harm of COVID at the expense of other healthcare, economic and educational harms.
It very quickly became apparent in that second wave that schools did not need to remain closed and we could still control the virus, and yet they weren't fully reopened here until May 2021. This was unnecessary.
Listening to the evidence of Professor Woolhouse today and that of Professor Devi Sridhar yesterday shows the differing opinions of scientists who were advising government on how to handle the pandemic at different times. Whose evidence carried the greatest weight amongst those in the heart of government is likely to be a line of questioning when the inquiry continues tomorrow. Lisa Summers reporting, Scotland, Edinburgh.
Some of the day's other stories now. And a jury has heard that 2 former sex workers recognised a man who took them to remote woodland after watching a BBC documentary on the murder of Emma Caldwell. They said Ian Packer drove them from Glasgow to woods that looked like the place where her body was found. One said that he assaulted her by grabbing her neck. Ian Packer denies strangling Miss Caldwell in April 2005. Police have named a man who was killed during Storm Isha when a car he was a passenger in hit a fallen tree. 84-year-old James Johnson died at the scene in Bean Cross Road in Grangemouth on Sunday night. His family said he was a much-loved and well-respected family man. Police inquiries into the crash are continuing. ScotRail says 95% of train services are now running as normal after track safety checks this morning. The railway network was closed across Scotland last night because of the high winds forecast for Storm Jocelyn. The operator said engineers were still completing checks on the Far North Line, Kyla-Flacalsh and on the line from Dumfries. An Aberdeenshire grandfather has been left unable to leave Dubai following a row with neighbours over a Hogmanay party. 74-year-old Ian McKellar from Newton Hill had been visiting his family in the United Arab Emirates when he went to complain about the noise. However, he was then reported to the police accused of trespass. His family are now directly appealing to the ruler of Dubai to intervene so he can return to Scotland. Well, Louise Hosey joins me for more on this now. Tell us the background, Louise.
Yes, well, Ian McKellar and his wife Carol had gone to Dubai in December to visit their daughter and granddaughter for New Year. On Hogmanay, Ian went to ask their neighbours if they could keep the noise down as the family were trying to sleep. Now, the McKellars say that the neighbours then started to become aggressive and a drink was thrown by one of them. Ian then left the scene and was planning to lodge a complaint himself, but just a few days later, the police arrived at their home and told him that he had been accused of trespass. Now, this can carry a fine and potentially jail time. Well, Ian is not allowed to leave Dubai at the moment. His wife Carol has returned to Scotland. I spoke to her earlier today and she says she's beside herself.
If he's found guilty of trespass, he could be in prison for 2 years, which, I mean, at my husband's age, he has a heart. issue, I mean a significant heart issue. So, you know, I'm really very, very worried about his state of health and the state of mind, because we're no further forward or knowing what's going to happen to him. And, you know, for all the family, they're all very, very distressed, as you can appreciate.
Well, the Foreign Office has told BBC Scotland News that it is providing the McKellars with assistance. We've also contacted the Government of Dubai's media office for comment, and at the moment we're still waiting to hear back from them.
OK, Louise, thank you. Tonight's main news again. Police have shot and killed a large bulldog-type dog after it attacked a man and caused him serious injuries.
And coming up in the sport, we look ahead to another big night of Premiership action. And Finn Russell says Scotland are desperate to win a trophy as the Six Nations edges closer.
A new film about the comedian Janie Godley will close this year's Glasgow Film Festival. Janie follows the Glasgow comic on her final live tour following her diagnosis with ovarian cancer. Our arts correspondent Polly McLean caught up with her.
It was this time, the very beginning of April 1982, the Falklands War had just started, that my ma was killed away upstream.
It's fair to say that Janie Godley has had some ups and downs in life. The abuse, poverty and alcoholism she's encountered have all fueled her onstage persona. But the last 2 years have brought even tougher challenges, a cancer diagnosis and a backlash on social media over racist comments she'd made.
It drove me near to suicide at the time, and then when I went on tour I was so broken, but every single night I stepped to on stage I thought, nobody's going to turn up, they're all going to hate me, because I've read that on Twitter, everybody hates me, nobody likes me, I better go and eat worms. And then every night I stepped on stage, the whole theatres were on their feet cheering me on, and I thought, no, these people want me to keep doing this.
The experience hasn't dimmed her confrontational style.
My takeaway is watch how you speak about people. Watch. We all learn and say things, but I do still stand by really offensive jokes. And I won't stop making really offensive jokes. And if people are scared to hurty words, don't come to see comedy. It's not as if I'm shouting it through your letterbox. Don't come and sit in comedy and go, I don't like this. Go away.
Yes, everybody's talking about my... Janie will have its world premiere at the Glasgow Film Festival in March before being released in cinemas across the UK. Polly McLean, reporting Scotland.
OK, let's get tonight's sport now with Lewis. Hello.
Hi there, Laura. Thank you very much. Yes, hello there. A busy night of Premiership football, and Rangers are looking to narrow the gap at the top of the table when they take on Hibernian tonight. But the Easter Road side are eyeing those European places and have strengthened with the signing of former Spurs and QPR midfielder Luke Amos, who goes straight on to the bench tonight. Brian McLaughlin is there for us.
Good evening from a rather cool Easter Road, but the temperatures are sure to rise later on when Hibernian take on Rangers as these two clubs get the Premiership campaigns back underway after the winter break. Hibernian will be looking for a vast improvement in their home form. They've only won 3 of their 10 games this season here at Easter Road. Indeed, there haven't been Rangers here in almost 8 years. For Rangers, well, it's all about getting foot back on the pedal again and trying to claw back Celtic in the race for the Premiership title. This, though, not the only Premiership game this evening. Up in Perth, St Johnstone entertain Aberdeen. All the action live on BBC Radio Scotland, 7:05 on Sportsound, and you can watch the action this evening on Sportscene, 10:40 on BBC One Scotland, where you can also catch all 5 goals from last night's thriller at Tynecastle.
Well, to that thriller now. And Hearts boss Stephen Naismith praised the character of his players as they fought back to beat Dundee, overcoming what he called a toxic atmosphere. Jordan McGee and Lyle Cameron had put the Dens Park side 2 ahead at the break, but Hearts made changes and second half goals from Calum Neuenhoff and new signing Dexter Lembikisa drew them level before Yutaro Oda completed a dramatic comeback for the Tynecastle men.
That's the demand of playing for Hearts, the demand of the fans, and like half time coming in, the environment's toxic. It's really tough, and it's really tough. I've been there as a player to to drag yourself from that.
What was that dressing room like then at half-time?
It was calm. Everybody knew, the players knew before we came in that it wasn't acceptable, it wasn't good enough. And then we make the changes because we need to. But then to turn that around, and then, as you say, the stadium can be a real asset.
New Ayr United head coach Scott Brown says he's only looking up the table after taking charge of a club he describes as a sleeping giant. The former Celtic and Scotland captain is in his second job in management following a spell in England with Fleetwood. His new club are sitting 5 points from the foot of the championship, but the new boss believes there's plenty to be positive about.
Yeah, it's a journey now for us, and the club's on this journey. They want to go forward. We're part of this journey, which we're exceptionally, hugely proud to be part of it, because it's important for us to make sure that now we focus all our time and attention on Ayr United and try and get them up the table. We've got a lot of young players that are keen, that want to improve, which is fantastic for us as well, because they will want to work hard, they want to do extra sessions, they want to see how far they can push their bodies as well. But at the same time, there's a couple of experienced lads as well that I've known for a long time. Everyone wants to look up at this football club. I think it's a sleeping giant. We can push on, and we've got the fan base and we've got the directors on board as well, that they all want to push the club in one direction.
To rugby, and Finn Russell says it's an honour to be named Scotland co-captain for the Six Nations and admits it's time the national side was picking up silverware. The Bath standoff, who will lead the team along with Rory Darge, believes he's matured in the last couple of years and is relishing the responsibility.
I've probably changed a lot over the last 12 months, the last 18 months. There's a lot of differences in my life personally, but also changing club and the experiences I've had playing. So no, it's a huge honour to be a co-captain of this team, and hopefully we managed to get a good job done. For the last few years, 4, 5, potentially 6 years, we've had sort of high expectations going into these competitions, going into the Six Nations, the World Cups, and we've never won anything. So yeah, we've had some big results, and we've beaten England away, we've beaten them at home, we've beaten France, so we've had a few big results, which for Scotland it was brilliant, but I think we've never won anything, have we? So these one-off games, they're great to win, but as a group we're desperate to win a trophy.
Yes, aren't we all? Can't wait for that Six Nations.
Yeah, not long to go, is it?
I know. And just before I go, Laura, bit of signing news. St Mirren have signed former Motherwell striker James Scott, so a big signing there.
Good stuff. Thanks, Lewis.
Cheers.
Now, on tonight's 9, you can see an interview with David Enright. He's the lawyer representing Rab Thompson, the sub-postmaster who had his conviction quashed today.
I have to say, Rab is a local hero. He's only the 5th Scottish postmaster who's had his conviction quashed, which raises major questions for the authorities in Scotland. He has laboured for the last 15 years under the weight of this wrongful conviction. It is astonishing that he's made it through.
And you can see more of that tonight on the 9 on the BBC Scotland channel. But now Christopher is here with the weather. What have you got for us tonight,
A little bit
Chris?
quieter, thankfully, a little bit
I'm
calmer.
glad to hear it.
It was still windy today, though, wasn't it? A number of blustery showers, some lovely rainbows as well coming in from our weather watchers. Thanks very much indeed, Laura. Good evening to you. Yes, it was really quite windy through this morning as Storm Jocelyn continued to pull away, and into the afternoon as well, has to be said. You can see it on the satellite image there. There's the storm system tracking away. This ridge of high pressure moving in behind it, and that means tonight it's quieter, it's calmer, it's drier. Any showers we have at the moment will fade away, and under clear skies it will be a little bit chilly actually. Bit of mist and fog around, a patchy frost across parts of the northeast, but by the end of the night cloud will start to work in from the south ahead of more rain for tomorrow. So here's the chart for tomorrow. You can see you've got a weather system working its way northwards, bringing cloud and outbreaks of rain and a brisk wind from the south as well. So first thing, it's rather wet through central and southern Scotland. First thing, the rain working its way northwards to reach most parts of the mainland through the day. Shetland holding on to the sunshine for longest. By mid-afternoon, the heavy rain tending to have cleared away, but we're left with a legacy of cloud and some showers, but it will be mild. Temperatures up to around 12, maybe 13 degrees, but the winds brisk from the south. Perhaps a bit of sunshine towards northern Aberdeenshire and towards Murray, the far north as well. Around the west coast, those winds starting to ramp up, and the rain pulling away from Orkney and heading towards Shetland. And then tomorrow evening and tomorrow night, we've got a cold front sweeping its way across the country, bringing a short spell of pretty heavy rain and high winds through the early hours. And then that takes us to Friday. We've got winds now coming in from the west-southwest, so a blustery day, quite a chilly day compared with tomorrow. First thing, those showers falling as snow across the Highlands down to around 200 metres, but through the day, the snow level rising. So that means on Friday, if you catch a shower, most likely to be of rain. Best of the sunshine likely in the east and the south, and a cooler feel, 7 or 8 Celsius, but still rather windy around the west coast, strong to gale force here. To the weekend, a northwest-southeast split, weather fronts in the northwest with outbreaks of rain, drier and brighter in the south and east, albeit with a few showers. That's the forecast for now.
Thank you, Christopher. Now tonight's main news again. Police have shot and killed a large bulldog-type dog after it attacked 2 men. And that is Reporting Scotland. Anne McAlpine will be here with your late news at 10:30 tonight. Until then, from everyone here, enjoy your evening. Good night.